Some may tell you World War II was the bloodiest war Americans fought in. Others may say that World War I was. However, more American blood was spilled on our own soil in the American Civil War. A country split in two fought for 4 grueling years. It was the Confederate States against the Union States. Yet there was one state that many do not associate with the Civil War: California. Since 1849, when the gold rush struck, people flocked to the Pacific Paradise. When the war began with the firing at Fort Sumter, Californians were split with how California should play a role in the war. California gave its loyalty to the Union and the rest of the northern states. The news of the war starting took 10 days to reach California by telegraph and Pony Express. But soon enough, every person in California knew what was happening back east. Although separated with thousands of miles of prairie, mountains, and deserts, Californians were not untouched. Californians, like the Union brothers, began to volunteer in the state infantry. The Californians soon realized that they were to stay out west, mainly fighting Indians. Most Californians grew frustrated that they were unable to fight alongside of their family members back east. They couldn't fight in the war to save their own country. Until one day,
Hey! Got some news.
Governor Andrews of Massachusetts agreed to start up an experimental company of Californians to fight for Massachusetts in the fall of 1862.
Hey, Tom! 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 They're looking for a cavalry company for the East. Right here.
By enlisting, Californians would agree to use their enlistment bounties as their means to travel back east. Men left their daily lives and headed out to San Francisco to enlist.
Boy, you're gonna go. You take Mikey. You're gonna take this mount. You're gonna take Mikey with you. Get on that horse. Come on, boy. I want you to take care of yourself.
Thanks, Paul.
Take real good care of you. Okay?
Thank you.
Now you mount up. He'll take real good care of you. I want to see you back on this ranch.
Yes, Paul.
Now get out of here. Okay? I want you to take care of my boy.
We'll be back, John.
Okay, we'll be back. Come on, get out of here now.
Yeah! Right, go!
They came from miles and miles around.
Well, good night, Henry.
Good night, Tom.
some men slept out on the streets of San Francisco to await the captain to arrive in the morning to recruit. Captain Reed was the head officer of the company. He was given a privilege that not many officers had during recruiting. He was able to handpick which men he wanted. Captain Reed was looking for good men from the country. He needed hard-working horsemen that were rugged enough to face the hardships of war. Once men were enlisted, they stayed at the assembly hall in San Francisco. There they began to drill. They learned how to march and use a saber. On December 12, 1862, the company had reached its capacity of 100 men and set sail for Massachusetts. They left with a grand procession of supporters and loved ones. Then the music of the band's playing faded as the steamship Golden Age left the Golden Gate and headed to Panama. A large storm washed the cattle and fresh food off the top deck, and the men had to pay extra for better food. The Golden Age arrived at the Isthmus of Panama on December 20th, 1862. They boarded a train and crossed the isthmus to Aspinwall on the Atlantic side. The men stood on the New York docks at 2 a.m. on January 3rd, 1863. Any thought the men might have entertained about being given a hearty welcome were dashed by the early hour of their arrival.
While there, they received a hero's welcome in New York City. Wine, dine, you name it, where they then transferred to Boston, where they joined their unit, the 2nd Massachusetts. They performed so well in their initial engagements and duties that the governor asked for more Californians, where ultimately 500 Californians were enlisted for service for the 2nd Massachusetts Cavalry.
The Cal 100, that is to say, the 2nd Massachusetts Cavalry Company A, would have been armed in a similar manner to most Union cavalry, and that is with a saber, a carbine, and a pistol. The primary weapon of a cavalryman would have been his carbine, which would have been an 1863 or an 1859 Sharps carbine. The difference between a carbine and a rifled musket that an infantryman would carry is that a rifled musket would load from the muzzle. A carbine opens up and loads from the breech with a cartridge, which makes it faster in operation. So a trained cavalryman may get off as many as 10 shots in a minute, where an infantryman might get 3. This is the primary weapon. You can see how it's attached to a sling with a swivel. This is very important because a cavalryman mounted could fire and then drop his weapon and draw his secondary weapon, which would have been a saber. Would have been an 1860 light cavalry saber. And it has a leather strap for a very particular reason. It's for a wrist. So when the saber is carried, if it's ever dropped, the cavalryman can drop it without losing it. So he can pull his third weapon, which would have been a pistol. A Colt pistol, usually a Colt Army, 44 caliber, 6-shot revolver.
The California 100 performed very admirably while attempting to apprehend the notorious Gray Ghost himself, Confederate Colonel John S. Mosby.
You just scream enough. Keep going on. Hacking up blood and pressure.
Nope.
Got my
Shattered some of keep right up.
We're gonna need to. He's got it.
I'm feeling kind of dizzy.
I don't know. We'll see. Get in there.
I said it might take my leg, so I don't want to take it. God!
You're lucky. You got shot by a round ball, so it didn't shatter the leg. You will keep your leg more than likely, as long as the infection doesn't set in.
Don't you hear that? God bless you, sir. Dear Pa, Henry and I are still fighting. We were both wounded at the Battle of Cedar Creek. But now I feel that the war is almost over. The fighting continues. And if I do not survive to come home, I have sent this picture. I have immortalized myself in this photo. But I sincerely hope that I have immortalized myself in the fabric of our nation to preserve the Union. Love, Tom.
After the Shenandoah campaign, they were then transferred to the Army of the Potomac, where they were involved in the last campaigns of the war against Lee's army, such as Five Forks, Sailors Creek, and ultimately Appomattox.
A California 100 helped speed up the surrender of Lee's army and Appomattox. They were proud to have played such a key role in the war. They now lived in a new United States of America.
In July of 1865, they were mustered out of service, where some chose to remain back on the East Coast, but many chose to return back to California.